the Virginia Autism Project, were any of these incidences involving children in a restraint and seclusion situation?
Yeah, so in reference to any information that may lead to the identity of these victims, we want to keep that private. I've been briefed thoroughly on the case. I had a chance to meet with the detectives on numerous occasions since the case came to us in mid-September, and I'm not going to get into the particulars of what level of care that they were under in the classroom, but what I can tell you is what led to these indictments is heartbreaking, and the grand jury's indictments today validate that. So we're not going to disclose any information on the victims. We're going to keep that private.
Is it suspected that there are any additional victims?
I'll tell you, we've been working this case again since mid-September. We put numerous detectives on it. We believe with all certainty that all the victims in this case have been identified. But if there is anyone that we haven't talked to that has information, maybe they had interaction with one of these FCPS employees or the administrator, if they have information, they should contact us. We do want to talk with them. But we are very confident that we've uncovered all the misconduct relevant to this case and presented it this morning. Yes, sir.
Did any of the injuries require medical care?
Yeah, so there were injuries to the extent of medical care. I know parents were concerned about that. They observed certain injuries. You know, I don't know the extent of the care that was given, but I can say with certainty that there were injuries on the children.
Do we know what kind of injuries they incurred?
Yeah, I'm not going to get into the particulars of exactly the scope of the injuries, but what I can say that in addition to the detectives, we've reached out to medical professionals because these cases are complicated, and with that support from the medical professionals have come to the conclusions that we've come with, and all those conclusions were presented to the grand jury today. Yes.
How long had these women been working at the school?
So the two women in particular, their service ranged from more than 20 years to less than 5.
Could you say which one was?
I don't know which one was the more senior FCPS employee. I defer to the schools, but they're both, would you say, tenured employees. One had significant service, one had much less.
All with special needs children?
I believe so, yes.
You said Bloom was a former principal. When did he leave the school, and was he elsewhere in the district after he left?
Yeah, so I'll refer to FCPS on his exact assignment. I do know that he finished the school year at this elementary school and had taken on a new position this year. That's why if you look at the timeline, mid-September is when abuse was observed, it was reported, acted upon immediately. What we would find out in the early stages of the investigation is this had gone on last year, and it was reported to Mr. Bloom, who failed to contact law enforcement, failed to contact Child Protective Services and take the action that is required by law.
And when was it reported to one more time? Last year?
Last year, last school year.
Oh, the exact time.
I do not have the exact time.
I'm Heather Aisha with Fox 5. We're hearing that there was someone that was actually keeping a journal of these incidents. Is that how this investigation came to a head? And we're understanding there was slapping, pushing, dragging. Can you confirm any of that?
Well, what I can confirm is the actions of these offenders is shocking. It's unacceptable. And today's indictments validates the conduct. They're going to see their day in court. The victims are going to see justice served. You know, we're not going to comment on the specifics of a journal or not, but what I can say, we've talked to multiple witnesses that put the timeline together for us. And the detectives, again, have been interviewing a lot of people to come to the conclusions of today's indictments. Yes?
As a parent, hearing that nonverbal children were abused is very disheartening. As a police officer who has seen this probably for decades, unfortunately, how did you feel when you heard about this?
You know, I wrote the word heartbreaking in my remarks because that's what I really felt. I was saddened. It's not supposed to happen in the classroom. You know, it's not supposed to happen at home. These are the most vulnerable members of our community. Not only are they elementary school kids, but they're nonverbal and they're special needs. And caretakers are supposed to be, you know, the most special people in their lives to make sure they don't get harmed by strangers, let alone by the people that are entrusted to care for them. So I will tell you, and I made mention of that remarks, we put all that aside and just looked at the facts. And the facts are still shocking, and the indictments came down today, which is I think appropriate in the case. Yes.
Could you tell me if any of these, the abuse occurred while they were being restrained or in a seclusion cell?
Yeah, so I will say the finer points of this investigation are best suited in the courtroom, not in a press conference. The one thing I don't want to do in reference to some of the questions being asked is to jeopardize this case so that these victims don't get the justice that they deserve. You know, 3 members of our community have been indicted. They're going to have their day in court to explain what they did or in some cases didn't do. So I'm not going to get into particulars. What I do know about the case from my first briefing to 30 minutes ago is that these charges are appropriate. Detectives have interviewed a lot of people, and we've got the timeline that tells the story.
What does jail time typically look like for charges if someone's convicted?
Yeah, so I mentioned a lot of charges. We've got 18 charges over 3 people. Mr. Bloom is the only one that has a singular charge or failed to report as required by law. You know, they're felony and misdemeanor counts. So there could be substantial jail time. I think like many of you in the audience that are hearing the case and understanding who the victims are, you know, it strikes a chord. Shouldn't happen. And I think in the courtroom, you know, that's going to be a feeling a judge or a jury's going to have as well. Thank you very much for being here today.
Could we hear from Mr. Smith a little bit about where Mr. Bloom is or was?
Yep.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Yes, Mr. Bloom was the principal at Freedom Hill Elementary School, and he is currently on leave and is currently the principal at Haycock Elementary School in McLean.
When was he put on leave?
He was put on leave in September.
How long has he been at the school district?
He's been with the school district since 2012.
And could you let us know which one had 20 years on out of the women here and which one had 5?
Certainly. We had Cecilia Benavides. She was hired with us in September of 2000. And we have Samira Gustav. She was hired with us as a full-time employee in 2019. Prior to that, she had worked with us in a part-time basis.
All those years with special education?
As far as I know.
Is one the instructor and one the aide, or are they both instructors?
We have both. One is an instructional assistant, and one is a public health training assistant in the classroom. So they're not the teacher of record, nor are they the special education teacher. They are the support staff who work with the students.
Was there a teacher also in the classroom at the time? Is
There
there a teacher?
There would be a teacher in the classroom. There was a teacher in the classroom, yes. But these are the support staff who work with the students in addition to the teacher in the classroom.
Thank you very much. Thank you again for coming out this afternoon. We will publish our blog post shortly with the information that was provided and including a link to the Facebook Live. Thank you.